Just because they are your parents doesn't mean that they're always right. Do not pedestalize anyone. They're not gods. By now, many of you watching this type of content have come a long way of understanding yourself, which makes it easier to not get upset about the smallest things that we encounter in life. And I myself rarely get riled up about other people or things that don't matter in the long run. But I'm gonna be honest, there are still some people who can get me worked up. Not in a sense that I get upset or angry or dwell on stuff, but get annoyed when I put effort and energy and they don't understand what I'm trying to tell them. Why the things that I'm preaching supposedly should help them in their lives. I'm not arrogant to think that my way is the best way, but I've had a lot of time to sit and ponder over things, being quite honest with my situation and where I am, which is why I can see things from different perspectives. Enough of patting myself on the back. We are talking about why the loved ones have the most power to hurt us.
Part of why it is so hard to understand ourselves is that people are constantly doing things to us that defy the common sense view of how human beings might plausibly behave around people they claim to care about. We expect that those who might carry the title of mum or dad, or husband or wife, would, unless they had very clear reasons to do otherwise, show us kindness. And yet, the brutal reality, which we must take on board for our own sanity, is that humans are frequently beset by feelings that are so intolerable and difficult, they develop urges to pass them on to others in a version of emotional pass the parcel.
Growing up as a child, you think that your parents are the most powerful, most knowledgeable, the wisest people on earth, which turns out to be a lie. As you grow older, as you mature, you understand that they are also mere mortals. And there are people like you and me and others, people with baggages, lackluster understanding of life, and not enough wisdom to bring up people into this world. The way they assert their authority, speaking about things with such conviction, with such certainty that there's no room for us to doubt in their powers. But as you become knowledgeable yourself, you see the cracks in the wall. You see the missing puzzle pieces. And I'm not trying to say that they're malicious in their ways of fostering you or being the protector that they should be. Sometimes they blame all the bad things happening to you on yourself. Maybe in most cases that's true, but not always. It's easier to deflect the problem by pointing at you rather than trying to understand where you're coming from and why you are in that predicament. Don't fret, they love you in their own twisted way, but that twisted way may not suit you. And when the time comes when you feel mature and adult enough, you have to eliminate the facade and tell as it is. Tell about what you feel, your position, and why their ways of living is not optimal for you. After all, we all are individuals, and just because they want you to attend the medical school or the law school doesn't mean that you should do that. That's their dreams, that's their fantasies that they want to live throughout you vicariously, so they don't think that they have been total losers in life. Now, I may sound harsh, it's not that bad in all situations, but some of them, and you have to be vigilant with the truth, because truth will set you free. Sometimes that advice is valid, but other times not so much. Like your mother trying to give you some love advice, and you know she's speaking from a point of a woman. And if you're a dude, by now you know that your perspective on love should be adversarial to her position. They tend to be much more romantic, and the advice they are giving to you will work against you.
Put another way, humans can end up being cruel, not for money or territory, but in the hope of alleviating their own sufferings by making someone near them suffer in their stead. Cruelty is at heart an attempt to make ourselves feel better by doing to someone else a version of what was done to us.
Those moments have been relieved, processed, and let go. Those moments when your loved ones clearly were trying to hurt you just because they were down themselves. And you know, it's a human nature. People try to put others down in order to feel elevated themselves. And your loved ones, your parents, your dearest friends are no exception to that rule. Just understand, when they do that, they might be in a bad place. Something that happened momentarily. Yet there are other instances when this kind of a behavior happens chronically. In that case, snip, snip.
Amidst the seeming normality of family life, people will hence inject someone else, a spouse, a child, with a poison, an ill will, a contempt, a hostility, which they then deny ever having put into their bloodstream, and which the victim themselves can't clearly detect. So invested are they in thinking well of those around them.
This is very deeply rooted in humans. Just because they are your parents doesn't mean that they're always right. Do not pedestalize anyone. They're not gods. They don't know everything. You don't owe them squat. They brought you to this world and your survival was their prerogative. Do not let them shame you into submission, that you should be a better son, better daughter, better child, and make them happy whenever at the snap of their fingers.
A mother might, for example, inject her daughter with a poison that says, "Don't ever succeed in your life. It would make me feel too bad about myself." Or a father will inject his son with a poison whose meaning is, "I want you to fail in your career to alleviate my sense of disappointment." Or a spouse will inject their partner with a poison that carries the meaning, "I will constantly, but very subtly, disrespect your intelligence and your sexuality, to lessen the feelings of rage and powerlessness I experienced when I was little."
Those are descriptions of toxic parenthood, when your parents clearly don't want you to succeed in life because they would feel losers themselves. And in order to keep the status quo in their own minds, they will actively sabotage your life, both personal and professional. Thankfully, those extremes are not that common. Yet there are a lot of children, grown-ups, suffering in silence. Why? Because they haven't admitted to themselves where the problem lies.
Such injections wouldn't work if they were noticed, so enormous energy goes into the cover-up. It's debatable how much the injector even understands what they are up to. They are more driven to act than cleanly aware of how or why they are doing so.
One would think that when the point comes to have children, the level of maturity and wisdom that you have acquired yourself before taking that huge leap, a life-altering leap, would suffice, would be mature and wise enough to take care of other people. But the fact is, most people have kids because of boredom. They want to take their lives to the next level. They don't know what to do with themselves, with a stagnating career, friends having families, so they do the same thing. And when you lack the tools for the task, you become a toxic person towards a new life that you have to bring to this world. Bottom line, get your shit together before having kids.
A big part of self-knowledge means realizing that those we love and have trusted may have put some hugely damaging ideas inside us that need to be identified and corrected to help us to attain the freedom and light-heartedness we crave and deserve.
At the end of the day, it's not your mission to blame on your parents for your misery. First and foremost, you have to admit to yourself their wrongdoings, then confront them, unload your own burden, process the feelings, process the situation, and let it go. The next step would be to hang out with them, as usual, as you would do before the confrontation, because now you don't hold any emotions or animosity towards them. Sometimes when you're hurt, you don't want to let that feeling go because it defines you. Watch this video to understand what I mean. And maybe this one, if you want to delve deeper into toxic parenthood. Have you buried the hatchet of war with your parents? How did you feel afterwards? Tell me in the comment section. But for now, Hossein, out.